Here's some images from when groups were generating and sharing questions. As you can see, um, most people were quite engaged with it and were able to participate and get some good ideas from each other. Once you've got all these questions at your group, now is another chance to see another strategy. When we talk about research within our own subjects, we often have our students focusing on online researching from websites or maybe newspapers or videos. But it's nice to see the MISO strategy where we look at media, interviews, surveys, and observations. We often forget about our books in our library that can really support our learners, especially if we need to differentiate for different learning needs. Interviews are a great way to involve the community. We often have experts within our community who know a lot about different types of global issues. Surveys are really helpful to get an idea of even your classmates and teachers across the entire school to see what they think about certain issues to help understand why it is an issue or different ways that people can find solutions. And observations are another great way to do research when we consider our world around us and the situations that we see every day but don't really necessarily pay attention to. As you can see here, this group has categorized their questions into the different types of research. And as students often realize too, the questions can fall between two different types of research, and perhaps one student could look at how to answer the question maybe through an interview. Another student might look at how to answer the question through a survey or media. At this point, for students, they should be able to choose the questions they're most interested in answering, which really helps with their engagement level. Once their research is finished, it's really important to look at solutions that can be found locally, regionally, nationally, and internationally. And this can really help students understand solutions that actually work and can help change a systemic problem. It also helps them to find organizations that they can contact or groups that they can contact so that they can do a needs analysis and find out directly what they actually need. At this point, this is where the four corners come in. On the original paper, I had staff draw the four corners in and label them as direct, indirect, advocacy, and research. I've got definitions on the next slide. And then to brainstorm and come up with different ideas for possible service projects that students might think were important for each of these categories. In students' groups, this is often where students will have different ideas of what they want to do. So if you yourself were working with a large group of students, you can look at how maybe some students might focus on an indirect project where they're doing some fundraising to support a direct project where they actually need to go out and meet the people that they want to work with. Another couple of students within a larger group might even do the advocacy prior to an indirect project so that more people were aware of what the issue was and more people were willing to give. Here are some definitions for the different types of service. And here are some brainstorming ideas for the group that had chosen waste as their main issue, such as looking for a composting project, and as well as looking at meatless days, understanding or starting a campaign for a broccoli revolution. So some really different ideas that were come up with from different groups. At this point at our school, in our service learning cycle, we have students do an Oscar. So they have an objective, they have their steps they need to succeed, completion dates, and looking at success criteria as well as resources that they'll need. This is just a framework so that students are actually thinking ahead before they start jumping into a project. At this point, I asked the teachers to go back and look at their Diamond 9s to see if they would make any changes in their ranking of the IB learner profile attributes. Most of them did not change much, but the conversations again were quite interesting, as some of them decided to change, considering reflective to be the most important attribute instead of caring, which was quite interesting because if we're looking at the whole service learning cycle, our reflection is something that really should be happening throughout, making sure that we have authentic, meaningful projects that truly have the community we're trying to support in mind, and that it is a reciprocal relationship between the two parties that are working together. Here's the bibliography for the resources within the video, and thank you for watching.